Hello and welcome to Do Buy Build Go, and tonight we are going to be upgrading this PC right here. This is an HP 620 gaming PC that I got for free when I upgraded its previous owner. They gave me the components that weren't compatible with normal things, which is a lot, but we've been having some troubles with it. It has really poor airflow, which you probably heard me talk about. And so we've been waiting for some components to come in stock, including a micro ATX board and new case and some better cooling and airflow. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to upgrade this computer and see how she does. Okay, so let's talk about the components we're going to be using today. We're going to start with an ASRock B450M, which stands for the Micro ATX Steel Legend motherboard. This is a Tier D motherboard, which is good for up to 100 amps power draw and a 2700. And that's actually the CPU we're going to be using tonight. And that's a good upgrade for this computer. We've got 6 fans that we're going to add to this case, which is the Dark Flash DLM21. It's a micro ATX case. This is in white. Doesn't come with any fans, but was a good price and was actually in stock. We recently upgraded to the NH-L12S from Noctua in this in an attempt to help keep temperatures under control. We're going to reuse that. Oddly enough, this HP system used an Intel mounting bracket, and so we're going to need to get the AMD bracket out, and then we're going to use an EVGA 600 watt power supply. But that's basically it. So let's get building. So the first thing we're going to do tonight is we're going to take apart and salvage what we can out of this HP. This is a B350 chipset. It's a completely proprietary design. Has some really funky stuff with it. It has terrible airflow, but we did put some good components in it. We have a Zotac 2070 in here. We're gonna put a Ryzen 7 2700 under here. It's a 1700 right now. Just something we had sitting around, so we're gonna take this opportunity to upgrade it. So yeah, let's get started on this. One thing that you will need on a computer like this is a Torx screw driver. Everything in this is Torx, so we're going to reuse the memory, we're going to reuse the CPU, the graphics card. We're also going to reuse the we have a hard drive and an SSD in here, and we're going to reuse all those components. So I'm going to put this on fast forward now and let her go. So as I said, this is a proprietary motherboard from a company called Sunflower. It has a B350 or an A320 chipset. They're not terribly clear online, but has no overclocking capabilities for the processor or for the memory. It doesn't even go to boost speeds. It just runs at stock speeds. Does have a built-in Wi-Fi that we upgraded to Wi-Fi 6. That will be coming out and going in a PCI card. But yeah, just this single 80mm fan, and we were hoping we could make it work, but this is just too much for this system. We even had to upgrade to an 80 plus gold higher watt power supply to support the 2070. And it worked on and off, but here lately it just as it's gotten to be summer, it's just gotten to be too much. So we did want to keep it this small size because he does have limited space under his desk, so we're sticking with the micro ATX, which funny enough I couldn't find a mini ITX board in stock. I would probably prefer to go even smaller, but micro ATX is going to be good, and that'll give him some more upgrade options. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, so here's the new case from Dark Flash. It's micro ATX format, so kind of in between an ATX and a mini ITX. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put in our cooling fans, and then we'll start getting the motherboard ready. When you're putting in cooling fans, it's important to remember which way your fans are facing. In this case, we want to be bringing air in, and so we are going to be facing them this way, whereas this is the area that brings air in. We also want to make sure that we cable manage these correctly. All right, and there we are. So we got 620 millimeter fans in here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the motherboard set up. So let's get to that. Let's set this aside for a minute. And let's get out our ASRock B450 Steel Legend. So when I set up a motherboard, first thing I like to do, make sure we got everything. We got our manual, DVD, other stuff, supplemental things. We'll set those aside over here. Got our SATA cables, which it's important we're going to need one of those. Our I/O shield, we'll need that. And here we are. So I think it's important to note, and we got our M.2 screws right here, but we can reuse the one that we took out. I think it's important that you have a good surface that is anti-static, will stay fine. People don't like to put them on the outside of the bag. I personally don't have a problem with that, but probably a little shiny. So let's take a look at this board here. It's a nice looking board. So, as I said, with the shortage of components out there, sometimes you can't be terribly picky. I would have liked to have gotten, say, since I'm upgrading him, an X570, but micro ATX X570s are hard to find or waiting a while, and we'd gotten to the point that this was just airing out and wasn't really even functional anymore. So, all right. Take this off of here carefully. Anything, and we'll set this aside right now. That shield here. So first thing we want to do is mount the new CPU. So we have a Ryzen 7 2700. This is the non-X model. I got a screaming deal on this, so that's why we're going to use this. This is a brand new processor. We're not going to use the out-of-the-box cooler because it does come with a decent cooler for out-of-the-box, but we're going to reuse this Noctua. We may reconfigure the fan on that because we don't need the low height. And then we'll see if this Noctua can keep up with how we want to overclock this. Since this is a Class D motherboard and is good up to 100 amp power supply with power draw, which is really at the limits of really what a 2700 can do. So if we're in temperatures, we'll keep this. If not, we'll probably even upgrade the cooler later. But for today, I think we're good. So we're going to install that. Let's put our memory in. Remember when you're installing memory that it's directional and that you want to use the second and fourth slots. And you just push down until you hear a click. It'll only go in one way, so don't push too hard. Make sure it lines up with the slot. And then you feel that click there. So next thing we're going to put in, we're going to put our M.2 back in. And this will let me boot up, and it'll just eventually it'll say, hey, you need to authorize this, and it'll make me buy a new license. So it's not a problem. I already know where I'm going to go get one, and I'll link that in the description down below. This board does allow for a second M.2, but this one is a little bit slower speed and is really made for like a SATA type M.2 drive. So we don't want to do that, and I don't have one, so not a problem. So, all right, let's continue on. So we got the motherboard in. I think the important thing to remember here is that you need to make sure that there's a post for each of the holes and that there isn't a post where you don't have a hole. And sometimes in this area is where you'll usually find that there's a post and no motherboard hole, and that could short things out. So you need to make sure that when you put it in that there isn't one, and you can always double check it by looking on the back and seeing if there's signs of something in the middle. This one does not, fortunately, so we're good to go. So next we're going to put in the power supply. I think we're done. We got everything plugged in, got a wireless card installed, all the fans are plugged in, everything's ready to go. It's getting late tonight, so we will catch everybody in the morning as we go to power this on. Okay, and so the build is complete. We just plugged it in. Everything appears to be working good, and we just went into the BIOS and it is showing us an AMD Ryzen 7 2700. It's running at the stock speed of 3200 megahertz. We show both sticks of DDR4 3200 memory for 16 gig total. This is good. I'm not really super familiar with the ASRock BIOS, so let's see what we can see here. And okay, I was already on XMP settings. I think we want to, there we go, change that to the 3200. And I think we'll just leave that alone, and we'll come back and we'll work on overclocking this after we see what our temperatures look like. So let's save, and there we go. We're seeing our SSD, and there's our backup hard drive. Well, it's actually just a storage drive for more games. And does everything else look good? Yeah, let's save changes and let's see it boot. We'll come back when it's back up. Okay, so we are booted. It went through a boot cycle. It actually went up. It needed to restart, and we're back in, and as expected, I'm gonna need to probably reinstall the AMD chipset drivers, and then it's also asking, and I did expect this, it is saying that the copy of Windows that came with that HP is tied to that HP. Fortunately, I was able to pick up a product key of Windows 10 Pro very inexpensively. I'll leave the link down below where I got it. Okay, so before I activate Windows, I thought I'd start up our hardware info 64, and let's take a look at how we're doing here. So we're boosting up to 3.5 gigahertz, it looks like. Some cores are almost 3.6, but our temperatures are really low. I mean, look at this. We're just sitting here idle at 34.4. Let's load up Cinebench and see how the temperatures change. So this is running, temperatures are decent. That's what I was mostly concerned about. We're gonna do some more in-depth testing on this. That'll do it for this video. I think this turned out really nice for him. I think he's gonna be really happy with it. I think it looks pretty good with the RGB fans. Certainly lots of airflow here. And there we go. So thank you very much for watching. Please like it if you liked this video. Please subscribe. Share this video with your friends. Certainly in the comments down below, tell me what you think of this build. What would you have done different? Keep in mind that there are limitations with the current human malware out there. So not necessarily everything I would have hoped to have put on this for certain, but considering the prices, and this was a very reasonably priced build. So yeah, let me know what you might have done different, or what you would add to this maybe to change something up. Thank you very much again, and have a great day.